Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. I'm your host Kazim Ismail, and welcome to another episode of They Ask You, brought to you by Blessed Tree Media. Before we begin, with it being the Shahada Day of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, I send you all, and in particular the Imam of the time, condolences for the loss of the second holy Imam. In today's episode, we will be discussing Islam's approach to dealing with controversial issues. To help us delve further into this intriguing discussion, we are honored with Shaykh Safder Razi. He is a well-educated scholar and has lectured in many countries. Shaykh, salamun alaikum, how are you?
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us always on the path of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. Salamullah alayhi.
Before we start, I'd like to remind you, the audience, that you can drop any burning questions you may have for our guest by using the chat box. You can find Blessed Tree Media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Please leave any comments, questions, stories, or reflections that you may have on any of our social media pages. Also, if you didn't manage to tune into last week's episode, you can watch it on YouTube on our channel, Blessed Tree Media. Without further ado, let's begin our first question. Sheikh, maybe we can set the parameters of the discussion by what do we mean by controversial topics? When we talk about dealing with the controversial issues, what do we actually mean by controversial topics?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من شر الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So, if you look into the dictionary of controversial topic, you will find several definitions, but they all pour into one thing, that there are variances. Whether you see political parties, they have variances. You see social parties, you see doctors. Sometimes their differences, they become sensitive in a way that people, they get emotionally intolerance about it. So that makes it controversial. Like people, they become intolerant about embracing the differences and embracing the variances. So this is in short controversial topic linguistically. When it comes to our Islamic realm, so there are topics. So people, they have topics like religions. They have differences: Christian, Muslim, Jews, and Muslim. So we have variances, but many times you see that the variances are embraced and respected and accepted. I do not believe in Jesus as Son of God, okay, but I respect you because you believe in Jesus, Son of God. So that does not become controversial because we have respected, we have tolerated each other. You see, these sensitivities, they rise when we are very close to each other. When we are far, we know lakum dinukum waliyadin. To you is your religion, and to me is my religion. So when we come to our own community members, like for example Muslims, sorry, let me just put this off. So, excuse me. So Muslims basically, there are topics between the school of companion and the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. Those who follow the companions, those who follow Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. There are certain topics, they are not controversial. Why? Because they are not that sensitive. They do not have this intolerance. But there are times, there are certain factors, they create this intolerance. One of the factors is that people are going to follow school of Ahlul Bayt. So people of school of companion, they start feeling insecurity about their group, or vice versa. You see, it could happen opposite side. So people, school of Ahlul Bayt, they feel intolerance. Oh, this guy is taking our people. You see, so that kind of thing creates insensitivity. Some intolerance can rise from position of the ranks. For example, somebody is leader, like in Arab days, those monks or those who priests of idol worshipping, they would be threatened because they will lose their business. Economical factor creates intolerance. Social factor creates intolerance. So there are lots of factors, they come in the religious communities, that intolerance comes from, oh, I will be losing them. oh, if they are convinced that that person, then and sometimes it comes out of demeaning and bringing other people down. Why? Because my arguments are weak. So in order to strengthen my argument, I start bringing other people down, and as they say, uh, character assassination. I hear this character assassination word. So the character assassination starts happening. In order for me to bring myself up, I start bringing other people down by bringing their defects, bringing their problems, accusing them of lies, fabricating upon them. So this is what really creates. If everybody respects the differences of each other, then things will not become controversial. When you see Democrats and Republican, they have differences. Now there's no controversial because the elections are done. The more you see elections are coming, then people will start doing character assassination
Yeah.
just to bring this party up, and then we will have serious crises and problems, and it will become controversial issue.
So the second question, actually, I think you just touched upon it. Does having differences cause controversy? So maybe to elaborate the question, what can be done to stop these differences from causing controversy?
Good. Let's go back to the Quran and the lifestyle of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. So you've seen the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah wal maw'idhat al-hasan. Ud'u dawat, invite, da'wah. Okay, invite towards the path of your Lord. If you feel that your path is the path of your Lord, then invite them. How? Not by bringing other people down, okay, by wisdom and good advice, bil maw'idat al hasan. Okay, then let's say if this discussion becomes an argument, Allah has also given a solution. Wajadilhum billati hiya ahsan. Wajadil, jidal means argument. Okay, argue, but don't let the level of your emotions become heightened, and the grudges start happening, and anger comes in, and shaitan comes inside your argument, and then you see dispute and problems, and bringing everybody down. جادل بالتي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيل. Allah knows who is deviated from the straight path. So there's a straight path and there's a deviation. Don't worry about it. وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. And God, your God knows who is from the those who are guided. So number this ayat tells us what? Wisdom, a good advice, and being calm. You see, shaitan comes in when things become like heightened. Wajah billati ahsan. Good. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-A'raf, okay, 198, وَإِن تَدْعُوهُمْ إِلَى الْهُدَى. If you invite them towards guidance, hidayat, la yasma'un. These people, they don't want to listen. So what should I do? Should I start hammering on their head? Samro, Samro, listen, guys, you have to listen to me. No, but calm down. وَتَرَاهُمْ يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَيْكَ وَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. They look with your eyes, but their hearts are blocked. They don't want to open their hearts. That means their intellect. So what should Prophet do? خُذِ الْعَفُوَ. Pardon them. See, beautiful advice. Pardon them. خُذِ الْعَفُوَ. Deal with them with pardon. وَأْمُرْ بِالْعُرْفِ. And whatever is good, invite people, tell people, Amr bil Ma'ruf. Okay. Then what about those people who are ignorant? They want to remain ignorant and nothing will help them. And they're insisting on the way direct there. وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْجَاهِلِينَ. Step away. Okay. Don't mingle with them too much. Assalamu alaikum alaykum. Don't open arguments with them because they are jahilin. They don't have the background of knowledge which you have, and they insist, and they are stubborn. No use, just leave them. See how peaceful our directions are. So that means this is for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it is for all of us to follow the steps of the Prophet. Then what happens? No, 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 I am right, I am on the truth, the right is with me, and so Allah also continues, ayat 200, وَإِمَّا يَنزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ. Because when you are in this situation, shaitan starts coming in, you know, They say, hello, Mohammed Bhai, Kasim Bhai, hello, party. Some Avi gives say, this party going on. Let's come on, let's party in the heart of this person. So when shaitan starts filtering in, fasta'idh billah, seek protection from Allah. Don't let your relations get messed up. Keep your relations good. Bypass them, surpass them. Wa'rad anil jahilin. Turn away from them. Don't get. And if shaitan wants you to, no, no, no. You want to drag them, no, don't do that. Okay? Since they have rejected, guide them from time to time, but don't insist on them. When you start insisting, then you have this ego. I don't want to be defeated. I want to be the victorious. I want to have triumph. So what happens? Allah says, if those people who are in this situation, they have nazgh, already shaitan is trying to mess up with them. Isti'adha, a'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. إن الذين اتقوا إذا مسهم طائف من الشيطان تذكروا فإذا هم مبصرون. So these people, if they remember Allah and be mindful of Allah and do isti'adha and bring Allah, shaitan will be flushed out. Okay, فإذا هم مبصرون. They will get this insight. Okay, no, 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 I don't want to go that direction. So who is like these people? وَإِخْوَانُهُمْ يَمُدُّونَهُمْ فِي الْغَيْبِ. The brothers, okay, the brothers of devil. So these brethren of devil, they want to increase in the deviation. So they are they in another ayat istahwada alayhim shaitan. Shaitan has overcome them. So your discussion will not be beneficial for them. Your arguments are not going to be beneficial for them. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't let your arguments go beyond the in emotional levels. Okay? If they don't want to listen, just pardon them. If they curse you, they insult you, they humiliate you, pardon them. And do your duty as Amr bil Ma'ruf and to whoever wants to listen. And these ignorant stubborns, just leave them. Okay? And then in the other ayat, one last ayat, the one of the characteristics of the mu'mineen in Surah Al-Qasas 55, وَإِذَا سَمِعُوا اللَّغْوَ أَعْرَضُوا عَنْهُ. If they see that time talk which is useless, okay, non-beneficial talk, waste of time, nothing is happening. So قالوا لنا أعمالنا ولكم أعمالكم. You with your deeds, we with our deeds. Salamun alaykum. Okay, la nabtaghil jahilin. We are not going to come over you. Baghi means coming over. So we are not going to come impose on you. We are not going to put pressure on you. You have your deeds. We have our deeds. See, we are not going to put pressure on you. Allah then says, "Innaka la tahdi man." Don't put too much pressure on the people. Okay, "Innaka la tahdi man ahbab." You are not going to guide the ones whom you love. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن. Your duty is pass your message with politeness, with wisdom, with love. So this is the Islamic method. And finally, we recite Surah Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun. If within non-believers we are told, I'm not going to worship what you worship. You're not going to worship what I worship. Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun. Lakum dinukum, and what? Waliya deen. To you is your religion. To me is my religion. So this is Islam inviting us to live with everybody. That is social pluralism. You see. So in that case, so Islam tells us, don't go into these tensions. It creates disunity of the society between Muslims and non-Muslims, between the Muslims, the Shias and the Sunnis, between the Shias among themselves, Shias and Shias. Just present them. You see, you don't have to put pressure, all those kind of things. So this is the way we have to deal with the differences of opinion which are associated with controversy. Otherwise, differences are there. Like, for example, I give you Sayyid al-Khuwain Sayyid Sistani. Like many of these people who are making things controversial, they say that because we are different, they don't want to listen to us. Nah, Baba, this is wrong. This is part and parcel of creating an issue controversial. Agha Khoi, Sayyid al-Khuwain Quddas al-Sirran Sayyid Sistani. They have differences of opinion in moon sighting, for example. Alhamdulillah, it's not controversial, a controversial topic. Why? Because Hui followers, they do their Eid whenever it is proven to them. Sistani followers, There are a few people, they will make it a controversy issue. But majority of the people, they have learned how to live with these differences. And they're going to happen because now it's not Sayyidi Sistani only. There are a group of Maraja who have opinion of Sayyidi Sistani, like Sayyidi Sistani. And there are group of Maraja who have opinion of like Sayyid al-Khu'i Quddus Sirruh. So people, they got adapted. So this does not have controversial in it. But what happens at some differences, they are controversial because they are related to the sentiments of Azadari. For example, the tatbir issue, okay, the blood maktam. So there are people, there are scholars, they say it's haram. Now what happens? Some of our followers of Ahlul Bayt, alayhi salatu wasalam, they take it emotionally. There's a difference. This is a difference, Baba. This is same like moon sighting issue. Amarja says haram, Amarja says mustahab. Okay? We as followers of Agha Sistani, we need to back off. Why? Because say this Sistani backed off. Say this Sistani doesn't, because it has become a controversial issue, it has become a fitna, people are fighting on it. Agha Sistani says, don't come to me on this issue. Follow any marja you want, you follow, but don't come to me. Okay? And this is the wisdom of Agha Sistani. Remember, hikmah, maw'adha. He says, what will happen? Somebody does tadbir, he's not going to go to Jahannam. Somebody does not do tadbir, he's not going to go to Jahannam. Why are you making it like a hell and heaven issue? You see, that is where we go away from the wisdom and tolerance. So it becomes an issue of intolerance. You see, so we have to respect every peaceful human being. So if we say lakum dinukum waliyadin to kafir, to somebody says Jesus is son of God, we respect him. Why can't the tatbiri people respect the non-tatbiri? The non-tadbiri people respect the tadbiri. Khalas. Follow everybody, follow the marja. Calm down. So so it is upon us how much tolerance and intolerance we have. Our lack of tolerance creates an issue controversial. So this is the thing that we have to try to understand, that there are people, they are backed by maraja. I can't impose on them, do tatbir, don't do tatbir. Just leave them alone. Leave them. They don't understand benefit of Islam. They don't. Leave people alone. Don't think that everybody is like you and thinks like you. People, they have different ways. The brain has different angles. So that's why we have to learn how to respect each other's opinion.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. So again, you touched upon this next question. What are the main causes of controversy? But maybe you can highlight the causes. So, for example, you said tolerance is one cause, one way we can battle controversy. When we have to step away from the argument and we have to stop relenting our point of view. What if someone says, for example, there are other people who, if we kept on going, if we kept on saying our point of view, for example, the Tatbir argument, if we kept on saying, Tatbir shouldn't be done or Tatbir should be done, there are some people who would be swayed. But because we've now stopped to stop the controversy, we cannot guide these people. What would you say to that?
My beloved, the best guidance, Agha Sistani says, okay, follow your marja. I disagree with tatbir, but that person has a different angle in tatbir. You see, I can't, if I'm a follower, for example, of a marja who says tatbir is haram, I will present my discussion. Okay, I will present my discussion because it causes damage to the image of Islam, and it has a lot of negative impact on the Shia communities and this and that. I'll present, and that's it. Let them then think about it. You see, because I have seen the trend is changing. The generations are leaving tatbir, generations after generation. Few are still on it. You will see in a matter of time, this will change. Maybe there will be few. They will always do tatbir. For example, so if I'm following somebody who is saying forbidden tatbir, I will present my argument peacefully bil hikmah wal maw'izati al hasan. If they start being ziddi, oh, you're Wahhabi, you're anti-Azadari, I just have to calm down. I don't have to get, I'm anti-Azadari. Okay, I do Azadari, but I don't do one of the forms which you consider Azadari. You see, that does not make me, don't worry. Just tell them, inshallah, may Allah forgive you. Remember, khudil afu, pardon them. They're accusing lie on you that you are not azadari guy. But you're doing azadari. Khudil afu, pardon them. That's fine. Wa'mur bil urf. If you are able to convince them politely, tell them that am like you. I just one thing I'm not convinced. You see, that's fine. I'll give you an example. Before I give you an example, let me come to another factor of azadari, which we are facing nowadays. Some of our Sunni fellows in Islam, if you discuss with them the imamat of Ahlul Bayt and bring them discussions from their books, bring them intellectual arguments, bring them many of them, they are tolerant. They say these are Shias, this is this direction. And we are respecting Shias, and Shias are respecting Shias, and Sunnis are. So, but the extreme elements of Shias and extreme elements of Sunnis, they are the one that are causing problem. So what happened, these extreme elements of our Sunni fellows, they cannot respond. So what happens? They start bringing lies on the Shia. Shias are spitting, I don't know whether you have heard about that, spitting on the rice in the day of Ashura. Shias are doing some nasty stuff on the day of Ashura. Shias have Quran different than the Quran. Papa, why are you lying? Come inside our masjid, find a Quran which is different than your Quran. Okay? So they, in order to bring us down, they start making lies. I have list of lies because they used to distribute it and pamphlets when I was in Gulf, and I used to respond to these with all respect. So lies after lies. Why? To bring them down, because people are going to follow the Shias. Okay, you bring your argument. Why you make lies? Okay, tell them this is what the Sunni school of thought does not believe. This is what is not narrated in the Sunni school of thought, or this is weak in the Sunni school of thought. Why are you making lies to bring us down? That's in between Shias and Sunnis. When we come to the Shia circle, as I mentioned, Maraja, they have differences. Okay, now the amongst our Shias, some people they do PhD. They think that they are mujtahid. We respect them. That's their thought. Okay? Because we respect everybody. Lakum dinukum waliyadin. If we respect Kafir, if we respect our Sunni fellows, why shouldn't I respect our Shia brothers? So they have this thought. So we don't have any problem if they start giving different opinion. Where do we have problem? When they start demeaning the Maraja. Because what happens, 3 years PhD, they compare themselves to Mujtahid who has been doing like 50, 60 years of study, and he gives fatwa. This 3 years of PhD doesn't qualify a person to give fatwa in school of Ahlul Bayt. School of companion, yes. If you go to University of Azhar, they have. So the parameters are different. Parameters of Hausa is different than parameters of Sunni school of thought, University of Azhar, or some university in Saudi Arabia, or in Western academic. But in Islamic academic, let's say if Hausa, you do PhD, you have to do a lot of bahth kharij, external research, advanced research with mujtahideen, that you get slowly, you get qualified. So if you get PhD from the Hausa, because Hausa's education is based on what? Logic. The first book we teach in Hausa is logic, mantiq. The academic, Western academic, is based on philosophy, and philosophy is very shaky. In philosophy, you can have Jesus is Son of God, with all our respect to our Christian fellows. You can have God, Yahweh is coming down, Yahweh is fighting with Jacob, Yahweh this. This in philosophy, so don't think, like don't use logic when you are studying religion. In Islam, no. So the parameters are different. So that's why if we study Hausa, we are using a lot of logic. When our Sunni fellows they study Mufti, the school of companion, they don't use logic as much as we do. Because I've compared the ilm al-usul, the logical methodology in the school of companion, school of Ahlul Bayt. So they don't have as extensive. We have ilm al-usul goes all the way to bahth al-kharij. You may be studying ilm al-usul, the logical methodology for 10 years, 15 years, and then will be giving bahth kharij on it. But school of companion, no, you have studied, done PhD, you are mufti. So the parameters are different. We respect them, but when somebody who comes in the school of Ahlul Bayt, and he wants to put himself beside a mujtahid, okay, obviously they will not be accepted. Their words are not going to be accepted. So what happens? They become irritated. Okay, why aren't they accepted? This irritation causes them to make their issue a controversial issue. So what happens? I have heard with my own ears. One group, okay, in Africa, I'll not mention names because Agha Sistani says don't mention it, mention the concepts. So there are groups, they say our Maraja are hypocrites on their YouTube channel. Our Maraja are hypocrites. Baba, if you have a different opinion, say it. Why you are bringing? Why you're accusing and backlashing the Maraja? Did they backlash you? They know. They said this opinion is rejected. This opinion is absurd. This opinion is not founded on proper evidences. But they will not say that you guys are hypocrite. So this same methodology which is used by extreme Sunnis to bring Shias down by making lies. So I was watching there about taqiyya. Maraja, they have two faces. Taqiyya, this Baba. Ammar ibn Yasir did taqiyya. Quran mentions taqiyya. Quran mentions examples of taqiyya. The Hisqil from the house of Fir'aun, he was concealing his faith. So this taqiyya is mentioned in the Quran, it's practiced by many of the Sahabas. So why our Maraja, if they are mentioning the taqiyya, they are hypocrites? Why too much going that extreme? Just because your arguments are weak, you are now doing character assassination to the Maraja. Remember one of the things I mentioned, that to bring them up, they have to bring others down. On the other side, in the Western, in your areas, okay, without mentioning them, there are groups, I've seen their interviews, assassinating the Maraja, character assassination. These Maraja, they're really old, their methodology is old, and this and that, and they're not progressive, not developing. And oh my goodness, please fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no progressing in Maraja. Ayatollah al-Uzma, because of their ignorance, they don't know that Ayatollah Khoi Qudus did the whole reshuffling of the whole Marja'iyya system. Okay? The ijtihad. There were so many concepts, they're weak concepts. Ayatollah Khoi rejected. Isn't this progressive? That old time, the fatwas are based on this weak concepts. And Ayatollah rejected a lot with a lot of methodology, logical methodology. Imam Khomeini, Sayyid al Khomeini, he brought a system. You see, Shaykh Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, progressive in philosophy, in fiqh, in usul, in economics. The book which was written by Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, Islamic economy, and the non-usury bank in Islam, al-Bank al-Arabawi. What is this? Allama Tabatabai, Tafsir Mizan. So these lies, they are progressive. They want to show the people they are progressive. And they want to lie. This on the West, from Western communities, some group, I was hearing them, I was surprised. They are progressive because they are bringing liberalism. That is progressive to them. Actually, the progressive should be the development of the intellectual argument, which is in the Hausa. That to them is not progressive. To them is progressive. So what they do, one of them, they said, our scholars are naive. So attack on our Maraja, naive. Okay. They study like 50, 60, 70 years and they're naive. You got your PhD on purification or whatever PhDs you guys get, and you are, mashallah, not naive. So this is where, because they are not accepted in the community, I have so many comments that I heard from them. They mock with these laughters, like sidekick laughing, like that kind of things they do sometimes to bring the opinion of Maharaj down. So this is what happens, that inferiority, psychological inferiority and stubbornness. They are invited, come. Why are you showing your muscles to the public? Come to the Maraja, sit with them, discuss with them. If you disagree, Marja will respect you. You see, our Maraja, there is Ayatollah Khoi, Ayatollah Sistani, differences. They are all respected. Why you bring these kind of comments and make your position controversial, make your thoughts controversial, associate these kind of, as in Urdu say, mirchi masala, like add spices on it and add fuel over fire. Just present. Trust me, nobody will bring you down. Nobody will say anything about you. Islam is about thought process. In Hausa, you will see ulamas, they have drastic differences, but they respect each other. When people they come out of these PhDs of Arabic language from the East or PhD in Tahara people, they do not have respect for those who are more knowledgeable than them. That makes it controversial. So we pray for Allah, Ya Allah guide them, okay, and give them. So when I present their arguments from the member, I don't mention names, okay? Because Ayatollah Sistani says, mention the concepts. Let the people be aware about it, because some of our beloved ones, they're not happy. Sheikh, why don't you mention the name? Show us who are these. Baba, it's not one and two. Maybe it's one now. After 5 years, there'll be five. So I'll be mentioning names after name. No, bring awareness, knowledge. Our direction is knowledge, direction of knowledge. It is not from the wisdom to mention the names, because then grudges happen, then their supporters, my supporters, his supporters, and we have a mess in the community. You see, so this is another example: inferiority due to lack of knowledge, and then based on that, they start bringing the knowledgeable people down by ascribing lies on them, uh, manipulating their words. Because I watch this to be aware that what's going on in the field of knowledge, and what kind of, why are things being controversial. Because people then they come and ask me, so I have to be sure that I have gone through these before they ask me.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. We will now stop for a short break, but please don't go anywhere yet. We'll be right back for part two, inshallah.
No home, no shelter, families ripped apart. Not sure who's still alive. No food, no livelihoods. Everything lost in an instant. A nightmare turned reality as monsoon rains turned deadly across Pakistan. Flash floods not seen in living memory have affected more than 30 million people, with Sindh, Baluchistan and Punjab most affected. More than 1,000 people have died, with millions having lost everything. The devastation is sudden and cataclysmic. A live emergency appeal is underway, as warnings of further devastation are forecast, with more heavy rain expected. Please, donate whatever you can, no matter how small. This is an ongoing disaster. Whatever assistance is possible, visit donate.wf and help this desperately deteriorating situation. Thank you.
Welcome back to part two of your show, They Ask You, where we will continue our discussion on Islam's approach to dealing with controversial issues. As always, please do give us a like, comment, and share on all our social media pages. Sheikh, there was a question during your last response. Is it true that the marja is sometimes afraid of calling out some rituals because of backlash? And inshallah, you can elaborate on this.
Yes, so as I mentioned about Ayatollah al-Uzma Sayyid Ali Sistani, so there's a fear, without any doubt. Fear of what? Not of backlash. Okay? I'll give you an example, because our maraja, they learn from the lifestyle of our Imam alayhi salam. I'll just mention a context, but all our viewers, they can go and find out the whole incident. So when Imam Ali alayhi salatu salam took the Khilafat, okay, after the third Khalifa, so what happened? that people, he started reforming, because there had been a lot of changes according to the school of companion as well, that the first Khalifa had done some modifications, changes, the second Khalifa had done, the third Khalifa, until the Muslims, they were like, they revolted on him. Okay, so this is in the history of all the Muslims. It's not something which Shias, no, it's in the history of the Muslims. So after third Khalifa, so from first Khalifa to third Khalifa, there had been a lot of changes from the path of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the path of Quran. And these are mentioned in the history books. What Imam Ali, when Imam Ali salamullah alayhi came, he started changing, bringing things back to what was in the time of Rasulullah. So what happened? It came the time for Salat al-Taraweeh. Not there in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now Sunni fellows, they acknowledge, and this is Sunnat Umar, Umar's Sunnat, that he made this recommended Salah in congregation. So Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasallam was going to stop this. People started revolt. Wa Sunnat Umara, oh Sunnat of Umar is going to be abolished. Oh Sunnat of Umar, save Sunnat of Umar. Okay, sorry, keep doing it. You see, so why that kind of, like, this is my way of expressing. Okay, do whatever you want to do. Imam Ali is surrounded by fitna, a lot of problems. He doesn't want internal civil war based on Taraweeh. That's the last thing Imam Ali want is, just because I'll change something, they have been doing it, you see, and I will have problems. And Muawiyah is on wife of the Prophet from one side, the Nahrawan. So all these people are one after another making plans to just destroy the Muslim community, which Imam Ali alayhi salam started to bring with the justice, you see, to the edge of the hair. I'll not say edge of the sword, because so edge of the hair, justice to the edge of the hair, like every single nitty-gritty justice. But then from inside, these people there. So Imam Ali taught us that whenever things might cause problems in the community, okay, fighting, disputing, this and that, so just back off. Just let people focus on greater issues. So Ayatollah al-Udma Sayyid Ali Sistani, Damadullah, if we will keep putting his head and in these small issues, he would not have been able to gather all the Iraqis or majority of the Iraqis and flush the terrorists out of Iraq. You see, where the marja, who has wisdom, looks at important things and does not get into these cultural issues, which some say wajib, some say mustahab, some say haram. These are all let me come back so that people will not misunderstand me. Azadari means having expressions of grief on Imam Hussein. Aza, okay. Aza means grief. Somebody is in grief. You are going to give him what they say. You're going to feel sorry. You're going to feel his pain or her pain. So you are going to do aza for him. So we feel the pain of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, being followers of Ahlul Bayt, and our A'immas, they said that Shias are part of our essence. They were created from the part of our essence. They are sad with our sadness and glad with our gladness. So we express. Now this is very important. Azadari is two types. Grieving on Imam Hussein is expressed in two types: religious, cultural. So what do we mean by religious? Religious mean that we have texts, Islamic texts. Crying on Imam Hussein, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam cried. Okay, poetries on Imam Hussein. Our A'immas, salamullah, they used to tell the poets, do you have something on my grandfather Hussein? I'm not going to go detail because we hear this a lot, the poets. That Marthia and Noha, these poetries, these are all sunnat of our A'imma alayhi salatu wasalam. You see, getting together, majlis, this word majlis, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, Atajlusun, do you have this jalsa, get together on grieving on Imam Hussein alayhi salam, ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam? Because when we recite ziyarat, we grieve. Normally we have to grieve because we are mentioning Imam's musibat in the most of our ziyarat. So these are ziyarat of Imam Hussein, Marthia, crying on. These are narrated, hitting on the head. The Imam Sadiq was seen putting dust on his head on the day of Ashura. These are narrated. Is this clear? Narrated azadari. Then we have cultural azadari. So is cultural azadari okay or not okay? Okay. So cultural azadari in Islam, we have something we call accidental. Let me see if I find a piece of paper to show you. Okay. Okay. So this is a piece of paper. It's blank. I can just tear it and throw it. But when I write name of Allah, it becomes religious. I should not throw it. So it becomes accidental, okay, azadari. If I write name of Imam Hussein or something. So this paper becomes accidental religious and it has equal respect as narrated religious. Okay. So there are a lot of cultural practices which some cultures practice, some they don't practice. Since they are in application for the general rule of grieving on Imam Hussein, they become accepted and they become rewardable act. Okay. For example, I'll give you this example in our Khoja communities mostly. This have you heard about this Hazrat Abbas na ladwa, the laddus which are distributed, the sweet balls, yellow balls
Yeah.
or orange, which are distributed in the night of Abul Fadl Abbas. Now, Hazrat Abbas did not give a recipe for that.
Yeah.
So how do we ascribe it? Because this is a Hindu culture. Our ancestors, most of them were Hindus, we Khojas, and we converted. So some of our cultural practices converted with us. So this they distribute in mandir and religious places and this thal as well. You will see in some ladies' majalis, they have all this thali, also this plate where they have certain things on a coconut and also these are all Indian culture. So what happened? So those ladies, they came and they made this nadar, made a covenant with Allah that, oh God, if you will fulfill my hajat, I will distribute those sweet orange balls which are distributed in the mandir for our mu'minin. And because they are delicious, people love it. You see, and she got her hajat. She distributed. Others they ask, oh, what happened? Because I made for Abul Fadl. So it's not the laddu which is here, it is the name of Abul Fadl Abbas, presenting the grief of Abul Fadl Abbas in the night of Abul Fadl Abbas, encouraging this great personality, the defender and the loyal, who teaches the loyalty to Imam, who teaches the sacrifice, and who teaches the social service that serve water even if your hands, arms are cut. So we are presenting a personality and not this laddu. This laddu is accidental thing. It became part of Azadari, part of grieving on Abul Fadl Abbas salamullah alayhi. So this is acceptable. So this cultural Azadari, if they are not contradicting with the religious directions which we have, if they are not causing serious harm, then they are acceptable, not just acceptable, rewardable based on the sincerity. Okay, any practices, cultural practices, they are accidental azada application of the general rule of azadari of Imam Hussein. So what happens here in cultural azadari, we have some things sometimes become emotional. People they mock on this laddu of Hazrat Abbas, and that is not right. Well, so they become offensive and it becomes controversial. The tatbir, those people who do, those people, we obviously in this time, this is my personal opinion. Okay, in this time, I'm not a marja, I'm not a mujtahid. In this, I'm applying the rule of seriously harmful or not. So most of our scholars they think that this is something which is harmful to the image of Islam, image of Tashayyu. Okay, so personal opinion I'll not say, but generally the scholars who say that. So there is a general rule that anything harmful to the image of school of Ahlul Bayt and Islam should be avoided. So the Maraja who says haram, they have this direction. The Maraja who do not see this aspect and they see the aspect of azadari, continuation of azadari, they say mustahab. So now, though Ayatollah Sistani does not give any fatwa because he doesn't want to create civil war inside Iraq. You know, in Iraq they do tatbir. So he leaves it. So you follow the other Maraja. So here the Marja is bailing out, not for to me being backlash, to avoid having fitna problem. Because as it is bidu, without Ayatollah Sistan involving, when I sit with this pro tatbir and anti tatbir, I see so much heated arguments there and baseless argument, baseless. So we respect those who do tadbir. We respect, though majority of the scholars, they do not support the regional scholars. They do not support this, especially living in the West, because it causes a wrong message. It takes a wrong message out to the community. But those who do, we can't also backlash them, you see, because they are backed by their maraja, some of the Maraja. There are very few Maraja, they support that. Majority of the Maraja do not encourage this. You see?
Yeah.
So
So
this
going
is the
back to
issue of Azadari.
okay, thank you so much. Going back to the accidental azadari you mentioned, um, like the sweet balls given on Hazrat Abbas's night. Someone has given a question, and I'll take it in a academic way. So, are you saying if I give chicken nuggets in the name of Abul Fadl Abbas, those chicken nuggets become holy? Maybe this is a bit of a mocking tone, but inshallah, you can highlight the extent to which this is this goes, this accidental azadari. Like, where do we draw the line, basically?
So let me mention this acceptable things, you see, because our culture accepts laddu. But if you go in a Western community or Arab communities, they will find this laddu strange thing, you see. So you don't go distribute there. Chai, for example. Did our Imam Hussein tell that, oh my Shias, please distribute chais? Now our Khoja communities and Indo-Pakistanis, they're so obsessed with chai. Even Iraqi communities, they have black chai. This chai obsession is there. And that has become part of Azadari. So something you do to encourage people to come to Azadari, to keep them awake in the Azadari, chai, okay? To let them, to show your appreciation to, so these chicken nuggets, if you are going to distribute chicken nuggets, to encourage people to come to Azadari because people, they love it, yes. But if you go into the vegetarian community and distribute chicken nugget, that's not going to be Azadari. You
Yeah,
see? So where your this is, because it's a culture, you have to observe the culture which appreciates your chicken nugget. I'll give you an example. In Norway, in Sweden, when Ashura used to come in cold weather, our youth, they did an amazing new form of azadari. Okay, what is that? They used to make tents in the university campus, in downtown, here and there, and they would distribute hot chocolate. There are not tea, hot chocolate, some communities coffee, that become azadari. Why? The main purpose is not the coffee, not the chocolate. The main purpose is to bring people, give them incentive to listen to you by giving them something they would enjoy as well. You see? So this is the thing that, yeah, chicken nugget, if you go to the youth community, put that chicken nugget, it can become, because the idea is not what you serve, the idea is why do you serve. The purpose is to let them hear Azah of Imam Hussein, Majalis of Imam Hussein, Dhikr of Imam Hussein. That is all around these cultural things. So these are accidental things. The aim is not laddu. The aim is not chicken nuggets. The aim is not chai. The aim is not coffee, hot chocolate. The aim is, come guys, listen to Azah of Imam Hussein and we will treat you with good treats.
Ahsan Sheikh, thank you so much. Now, moving away from the topic of azadari, what is the solution for a layperson who cannot decide by their own intellect due to the lack of background of Islamic analytical sciences, such as Quranic interpretation or Rijal of Hadith and the science of semantics? What should he or she do when they hear two scholars differing in an Islamic concept? So, how would they make up their mind, not being educated and just hearing that these two scholars have had a difference? How would you advise them to make up their own mind?
Good, nice question. Before that, let me come to a small introduction to that. Why these people who are coming and giving fatwa from our communities and they're not qualified enough in Rijal, in this. So either they are ignorant of what the specialized great scholars have given. I'll give you an example. Our duty is to refer to specialized scholar. An important example nowadays, it's a hot topic, issue of Fatima Zahra Salamullahi alaiha and the door. Now, these PhD, Western type academic PhD, they started giving, oh, Kitab Sulaim is this and Kitab Sulaim is that. I challenge them. They say Kitab Sulaim is weak. But give me a fatwa of Ayatollah al-Uzma Sayyidi Sistani or a historian that the content of Kitab Sulaim entirely is rejected and fabricated. I'm challenging. They will not bring that fatwa. Just because the book is not linked properly doesn't mean that everything in the content is. Mafatih al-Jinan, you see, most of the du'as are not linked properly. But we can't say these are fabricated. Just because there's no link, 50% there's a chance it could be correct, it could not be correct. Who verifies it? A professional scholar. See, in our science, what is your profession, Kumail, Kazim?
I'm a student right now, but tuition, you can say.
What tuition? No, what will
Tuition,
you be in
teaching.
future?
In future, accounting.
Good. You are going to be specialized in accounting. Okay. If I have an issue in accounting, will I go to the mechanics
No,
or a doctor?
no.
Intellectual society has specialization. Our some of our community members, they want khichdi. You know it's khichdi? Mix
Yeah,
everything. They
yeah,
want somebody who has done a PhD to be historian, PhD on academic thing, historian, giving fatwa, giving tafsir, giving Baba. What are you doing? Mixing up? This is not. This is absurd intellectually. So these people, they give fatwa on history. So what happens in Islam? We have historians. If we have an issue of history, we go to say Ja'far Murtada al-Amili, Sheikh Ja'far Subhani. These, they have done extensive work in history. Say Ja'far Murtada al-Amili, you see, he has 10 volumes, the authentic lifestyle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Normally, you find 2 volumes, 3 volumes, 4 volumes about the seerah of the Prophet lifestyle. He has made 10 volumes analytical history. This great scholar has gone deep into history. He's not giving fatwa, he's a mujtahid. Not giving fatwa, no, he's chose the specialization of history. He has written 2 books, 2 thick books. Ma'satu Zahra Salamullah. He has proven with deep arguments, holistic arguments, that the incident of Zahra Salamullah alayha, Fatima, happened. Now, should I go and listen to these PhD people, or should I go to the professional in history and take from him? So you see what messes we are living in, mixed up. Somebody come from the member, somebody come, the PhD guy, he just rejects the issue of Zahra, and he's not even a historian. And the absurdity is not from the person who speaks. The absurdity is many of the community members who believe in somebody who's not a professional person in history. If I want, I'll give you an example, another example. I went to Ayatollah Sistani, Damahullah, once. I asked him a question which is related to history. He told me, Irja'u ila al-muhaqqiqin. Go to those who have done extensive research, the researchers. You see, muhaqqiq was just tahqiq. That means he has vast depth in that field. Philosophy, you go to Allama Tabatabai. Tafsir, you go to Allama Tabatabai. Usul, you go to Sayyid al-Khuy. I'm giving you few examples, okay? Sayyid al-Khuy has done extensive work in Ilm al-Usul, the logical methodology of Islamic jurisprudence. Logical methodology. You see, so there is a specialization in Islamic. Very few people, they become like in several areas, like Sayyid al-Khu'i, Shaykh al-Tusi, in Rijal, in Hadith, in Usul, in Fiqh, in Tafsir, over and all. These are very few people, and they have done, their life is all in these fields. So not every mujtahid has over and all everything. Marja' taqleed gives you a direction of fiqh. I want history, I go to historian. Our problem is that lay people, your answer to your question, they need to learn to refer to the professionals, not to the khutaba of mimbar. Me, I'm not a professional in history. I have a Masa'ib book of a historian, he compiled. So whatever is in it, there are few things I don't choose to say from my majalis, but I refer to historian. I have to respect that historian. who has done extensive work, collected the Masahib with references, academic work done. I refer. Now, right, wrong, he's responsible in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this brings me to the taqleed issue, that the people, what is the responsibility? So taqleed is two types. Okay, taqleed in fiqh, you have to choose a marja and that's it. And most knowledgeable, most accurate, most. So that is in fiqh. When it comes to aqaid, okay, you also do taqleed. But to who? To professionals. Okay, there's a misconception. You cannot do taqleed to aqaid. I'm going to clear that misconception. So they say you do taqleed in where? In, I say in aqaid. So why? Why there are people saying you should, why there are scholars saying you don't do taqlid in aqaid? There's a big misconception in our communities. Big misconception. Aqaid are divided into two areas. Very important concept. My beloved ones, whoever is listening to me, please think about it. It's a very intellectual concept. Aqaid are two types. One is the framework, okay, which you need to use your intellect, logical arguments. There you don't do taqlid. God exists, oneness of God, just of God, the day of judgment, and the nubuwwat, concept of nubuwwat and imam. This can be proven by intellectual arguments. You don't do taqlid. In other areas, like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our imams' names and those details, you will have to refer to Islamic sources. And what are Islamic sources? Quran and the Hadith. And there you need to have professional people who understand these things. So you're not qualified in hadith, in rijal, in Quran, in nasikh, mansukh, abrogation, zahir, batin, apparent meaning, inner meaning, metaphors. There is semantics. A lot of things are used to deduce the aqaid concepts. So, scholarly work, professionalism, intellectual direction. So, framework of aqaid, you try to see the arguments, you have to be satisfied by yourself. Then, in when it comes to the details of aqaid, there you need to choose. You don't have to choose one scholar. You see, one scholar gives, like I'll give you an example. For example, raj'ah. There are some non-essential concepts of belief. Return of the infallibles. Some scholars they say it's the return of the Imam Zamana Ajjalallah. Some scholars they say no, it's Imams will return. Now Sayyid al-Khuy says it's not from our essential parts of our religion. So you find two scholars, they have arguments, Quran, Hadith, and you want to choose the scholar who supports Raj'ah, you're most welcome. You want to choose the scholar who does not support Raj'ah, you're most welcome. You see, this is not essential. But essentials, okay, you have to have your own direction with the mainstream marja'iyah. Imamat, selection of God, not by the people. Our imams, 12 imams. Imams infallible, because they are all in Quran and Hadith. The arguments to prove these. So these are essentials, which mainstream direction of Shiism, imams selected, imams ma'soom, Imam Mahdi living. Those who deny Imam Mahdi, they are no more from the school of Ahlul Bayt. Even if they claim that we are Shias, they are no more. Imams have knowledge Allah has given to them. Imams, they don't have knowledge equal to God, but Imam has knowledge more than us, and Imams have knowledge given to them as a gift by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't know 100% of ilm al-ghayb, but whatever they want to know, they can know by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is in the equation. So it's not ghulu when you say like that. Ghulu is when you say God's knowledge and Imam's knowledge is equal. Majority of the Shias who are the mainstream, they don't say like that. Okay, so knowledge of the Imam, ability to perform miracles, these are proven by Quran and Hadith of Ahlul mass narrations, tawatur. So that's why our ulamas from Shaykh al-Mufid till now, they form this strong ideology which defines the Shiism. So if you are not believing in these, you're out of the circle. I give you few examples. So essentials, you have to believe in it to be Shia. Non-essentials, if you don't believe in one, then you are still Shia. So this like non-essentials are like Raj'a, as I mentioned. So this is something which so let me make a conclusion because a khichdi paki gayi hai. Let me make a conclusion about this. So in fiqh also we have essentials like salat is wajib. You don't do taqleed in it. Details of salah, you do taqleed in it because they are derived from the sources, and sources needs professionals. But here you do taqleed to one person who's most knowledgeable. When we come to aqidah, belief, creeds, okay, theology. So you have also two things: the essentials, usuluddin, framework. You have to by yourself do the arguments and be satisfied. And the framework, because it's derived from the sources, you have to refer to professional. And these fill in the framework are two types: essentials, we all have to believe in it for our identity. Non-essentials, no, you see two scholars, they are scholars on the top level, experts, they differ. You can choose this one, you can choose that one, there's no problem in it. So the main thing is refer to the professionals. And if, let's say, I am a lay person, I'm confused, what will I do? I will follow the mainstream direction of the scholars, not the people. Majority of the people could be deviated. But when I have scholars, intellectual scholars, okay, using intellect, using methodology, 10 of them, I become more satisfied intellectually because 10 professionals are indicating something. So it's the majority of the professionals and not majority of the people. So I'll give you an example. One of my colleagues, see, when I am discussing this, I'm blunt when it comes to principles, but and using wisdom and all those kind of things, following that. But when it comes to social interaction, you see, you will find me with all these controversial personalities. I'll sit with them, we'll crack some jokes and this and that. Socially, we'll be together. But intellectually, I'll be very blunt, following the direction of the mainstream marja'iyah. So one of these PhD peoples who's claiming his mujtahid, he says, Shaykh, put this in your mind, compare, keep Allah as you're watching you, tell me truthfully. All these maraja, they are saying this. He mentioned a few masail. You see, I said, Shaykh, now I consider myself not a qualified person. If you are qualified, you're one. And I have 10 qualified who have studied more than you. You've studied only PhD. They have studied like 30, 40 years. So my intellect is use your intellect. My intellect tells me to follow where most of the intellectuals are agreeing on one thing and you are odd. So I will leave you, and I respect you, Sheikhna, but I will leave you and I will follow the majority of the intellectual professionals, not majority of the people, majority of the intellectual professionals. So that is, so he started smiling at me, and alhamdulillah, I left him on a good term. So I respect, you see. But when it comes to academia, I have to discuss bluntly and try to rebuttal the arguments, the flaw in the arguments which are presented by these people. So my advice is, that's why our maraja, they say, follow the mainstream marja'iyah, not mainstream people, mainstream marja'iyah. Why? Because it's not one, it is 10, 15, 20, 30 on one side, and we have odd in East Africa, in Western United States, or where UK. These are odd people coming out, and it is not an intellectual direction that we start following odds and we leave the giants of the Hausa Elmiya who have dwelled and swimmed inside the depth of logical methodologies and are progressive as well.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. Just two more questions left, and inshallah we can conclude the discussion. What are
Mhm.
the areas that scholars could differ in Islamic sciences? Like, where is it acceptable for scholars to have differences? Are there some areas which it is impossible for them to even be considered, in the same madhab if they have a difference in? And yeah, if you can elaborate, please.
Okay. So I answered in my previous question some examples I gave you. So differences can be, I'll give you three examples. It can be like in a creed, aqaid. Differences can be in fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence, and differences can be history. Differences can be in philosophical concept. So all these areas, because Islam is part and parcel of intellectual society, and there is so much deep professionalism. In Islamic economics, there can be differences. So differences can be there, but there are, as I mentioned in my previous answer to my previous question, there are essentials. Salat is wajib. We cannot have differences there. Hijab is wajib. Like the new feminist movement, they come and they say, no, hijab is internal hijab. That is out of the circle of Islamic, the Shiism, especially school of Ahlul Bayt. Okay, some of those odd marriages are okay, because some of the our Sunni school of thought, they started accepting those odd marriages. They have masajid also. No, for us, we respect every peaceful human being, but for us, we cannot accept those directions. Those are where differences are not accepted. Essentials of Islam, and then essential of the school of Ahlul Bayt. Imamat chosen by God. Difference is not allowed. You want to have different opinion? Um, uh, just get out of the Shiism, okay? Because Shiism is all about these 12 Imams. You want to believe Imam Mahdi does not exist? And our Sunni fellows, they say there will be a person who will come who is going to be Mahdi. So we have these essentials. Imam Mahdi, it is an essential thing distinguishing between Shia and non-Shia. Our A'immas, alayhim salam, they have this ability to cure and heal. This is something we derive from Quran, from the Prophet Isa alayhi salam, from Asif bin Barkhia. Okay, so this is something essential. Knowledge of Ahlul Bayt, they say ilm al-ghaib. The Quran is whole thing ilm al-ghaib. Allah gave ilm al-ghaib to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why can't the Prophet give his ilm al-ghaib, what he has got from Allah, to Imams, Imam Ali and Imam Ali then? So we have a lot discussions in this, but the bottom line is our A'immas, they have knowledge beyond the creation and below the knowledge of Allah. So that does not make me ghulu, and that keeps me on the Shiism. So these are where you can, and there are others also. I'm giving you just example. So these are areas the ulamas who claim that they're Shia scholars, they cannot have differences. Differences are in the details, okay? Like for example, one of the differences. Some of the community, Indo-Pakistanis, they say Ahlul Bayt's blood is najis, okay? No, pure, sorry, pure. The Arab communities, they say Ahlul Bayt's blood is normal. What is their argument? Ayatul Tathir. They conclude from Ayatul Tathir this. So now, if you say that Ahlul Bayt's blood is najis, you're still going to be Shia. If you say it's not najis, you're still going to be Shia, because you have your arguments. So this is not from details. These are called intellectual curiosities. The details, we can have a lot of differences in details. And then where should we refer to? The professional scholars. You see, if the professional scholars, there are two. Some say no, Ahlul Bayt's blood is najis. Some say no, it's pure. You like to follow this scholar, you follow this scholar. You like to follow that scholar, that scholar. These are, for example, and this also can become controversial in certain communities where they're ignorant. Oh, you're Wahhabi because you're saying Ahlul Bayt's blood is najis. Oh, you're Mughali, Ghulu, you're exaggerating in the love of Ahlul Bayt because you're saying Ahlul Bayt is pure. Controversial happens in there as well. But that's how we say that the areas where there are differences, they have to be embraced with tolerance and not with the intolerance. So I gave you example. For example, the usul, I meant raj'a in usul al-din, principles of religion. So in aqaid, for example, raj'a, some accept all the imams, some accept no, the Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. So there can be differences. But Imam Mahdi coming, that is tashayyu'. That's the Shiism. You see, there's no compromise in that. And then when we come to fiqh, we have essentials. Namaz is wajib, hajj is wajib. No Muslims, not only Shia, no Muslims should deny this. Otherwise, they'll be getting out of the circle of Islam. Denying salat is essential for all the Muslims. But the details of salah, they can have differences. And that's where taqleed comes in. History, there can be differences in historical events, but professionals should define. The philosophy, Islamic economy, it's a big world of intellectual system in Islam. It's a part and parcel of intellectual society. So Okay, I'll not go to the doctor. If I have a medical issue, I'll not come to you. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go to the doctor. So the same thing, if we have an issue in philosophy, we look into our philosophers who have done extensive work in philosophy. And like that. That's an intellectual direction.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. And to conclude the discussion, maybe we narrow it down just to the Shia sect. If scholars belong to the madhab of Ahlul Bayt, how can they or why do they differ? What causes the differences within our own sect?
Thank you so much. That's an important question because many people they ask that moon sighting issue. I'll give you this moon sighting since we spoke, and from that you can get an idea. Moon sighting issue. Why Sayyid al-Khu and Sayyid Sistani they differ? Quran is one, Hadith is in our school. So there are four narrations. Okay, these four narrations. What do they say? The conclusion, the juice of these four narrations, and they're authentic narration. If the moon is sighted in one place, it is sufficient for other. Period. There's no detail there. Now ijtihad comes in, the thought process, the broadening, the depth. So they use astronomy, they use other ahadith, they use some ayat, which might not be very directly related, but it gives them an insight. So therefore, here comes the difference. So Ayatollah said to one region, how far, distance, no distance. So Sayyid al-Khui went, because the moon, I'm just giving a very simplified, it's more than that for the audience to understand. Ayatollah Khui said, when is the moon sighted? At night. Okay, after the sunset. So wherever there is night, they all follow the same region. East, west, doesn't matter. Ayatollah Sistani, however, he says no. The moon sighting of the first night is only limited to certain minutes of the first night. Doesn't reach mostly 1 hour. So they said that the regions which are going to observe the moon in that close proximities, they can only follow each other. You see, this is not in the hadith. The hadith left it open. So they had to find out the astronomical things and other to indicate unity of the night or unity of the sunset. You see, I've made it very simplified. There's more to it to understand the difference. Some difference come, as I told you, Sayyid al-Khui was a giant. He's considered Imam of Hausa. You see, he reshuffled everything. So things which were wajib based on narrations, Sayyid al-Khui found out they were weak. So those wajibs were averted now, no more wajib. They became ihtiyat-e wajib, precautionary measures, and then slowly, like people of book, the purity of people of book and those kind of things. And then we have so this was based on ahadith. Some concepts, like for example, one of the concepts of Sayyid al-Khui said, if we had a weak hadith, the popularity, the scholars were using this popular scholar would use it, that shuhra, the popularity would patch up the weakness. That Sayyid al-Khui said, for me, it's not accepted. And he proved the weakness of that concept. So many of the things which are wajib became mustahab, became normal. Many of the things which are haram based on that. So you see, even development, that's where I say progressive. People, they blame our maraja being non-progressive. What is this if it is not progressive? Trying to filter out. Those days, like Shaykh Saduq's time, weak hadiths were accepted. Okay? Then after some time, ulamas, they started finding out, no. So there are fatwas, they're based on some hadith, which a narrator is strong for one marja, a narrator is not strong for one marja, based on their historical research and arguments. For example, you know someone, okay? I don't know that person. To me, he is a just person, because everyone is innocent until proven to be guilty. So I will take his hadith. But for me, for you, you know he's a liar. He's your close friend. So you'll not depend on his words, correct? But
Yeah.
for me, I'll depend. So let's say he testifies for the moon with two witnesses, the other witness. You will not do Eid tomorrow. Why? Because you know one of the witnesses is not just. But for me, both are just. So see how we both following the same marja, because of the witness, same thing. Narrator is like a witness. He testifies the hadith. Some scholars they found out that the narrators whom some scholar they rely on as trusted are not trusted. So their fatwa changes from this fatwa. You see? So
Yeah.
same school of Ahlul Bayt, they can have diversity in fatwa due to these few examples I gave. Narrator, hadith leaving a gap, you see, like moon sighting issue, or concepts being changed and developed. These are three examples I gave you.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. Unfortunately, at this point, we have come to an end to our show. I would like to thank you, Sheikh Safder, so much for gracing us and enlightening us with all of your precious time, knowledge, and experience. I'm sure the audience, as well as I, have all taken away a lot from this interesting episode, and inshallah, the knowledge we have picked up will have a profound impact when we come to hear of different opinions and Islamic issues. We can use tolerance and, inshallah, avoid controversy. We are also grateful for the rest of the hardworking team behind the scenes for facilitating this live show. And last but certainly not least, I would like to thank you all, the viewers, for dedicating your Sunday afternoon and tuning into this show and leaving some comments and queries for us. Jazakumullah khair to all of you. If you like today's show, fear not. Inshallah, we will have another one lined up for you next week. So please tune in for that at 4 p.m. UK time on the Blessed Tree Media YouTube channel. As always, please do follow us on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to see any shows or upcoming events at Blessed Tree Media. And give us a like, comment, and share this. This has been Kazim Ismail from Blessed Tree Media, bidding you farewell. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hussein.